company with a pearl. Used to call her my dear girl. Spent my money on her, you see, and I thought that she'd marry me. When I lost my job one day, she said goodbye on your way.
Hello Space Engineers, welcome back to Hephaestus Prime, Wellington 6012 here. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're well. Nice fine day here on Hephaestus Prime. A little bit of a breeze, the windmills are turning, which is fantastic, producing a little bit of power. So before we get into the episode proper, we'll have a bit of a look around at this windmill installation, and I'll show you what I got up to overnight, and then we'll get on with the rest of the day. So a nice little lookout platform up here. We are reasonably high above the lake and whatnot, so that's nice to have. I've put the sign in, which I've created using the DDS file and putting it into the textures folder. And I want to sort of replicate these throughout the base for each individual... There's a grapefruit back. That's been toing and froing all night. Yeah, I want to put those up all over the base for each of the different departments. In here, I've just put a few little creature comforts, somewhere to charge myself actually, and a few personal facilities. There we go. And I was able to sort of sit down and tap into the antenna, and I was able to get the grapefruit going back and forth. Now, down there, that's the tunnel that leads back to the main base. So quite a few blocks to link that up, but needed in order to get the power back down. Up there is the windmill that's straight above us, and these tunnels here go to all the other windmills. So it's a bit of a rabbit warren under there to keep all the connections underground. Took a little bit of effort to do, but I think worth it to get the aesthetic that I wanted. You can see that the sun is actually just about setting, even though you left me in the night last night, so I've almost put a full day in up here. And yeah, so there's my windmills. I said 2 or 3 of them I was going to put in. Here we are, 5. And yeah, I'm almost keen to put another couple in already actually, because I'm really just happy with how they look up on the hill, and that is the aesthetic that I wanted. I know over in Europe they have them out in the ocean or on the flat, but here in New Zealand we have them up on our hills, up on our mountain ranges, and around my neck of the woods there certainly are quite a few. So that was of course the main focus of last night, but I have done a couple of other little things. So in here I've kept the tunnel machine going, and I've moved the beast back, so that now I can sort of start to produce some stuff up the front of the tunnel and it can get out because the beast is not blocking it. Now when I moved this temporary connection for the beast, I also put in some sorters as well. Now this is to pull the components out of the beast and put them into the containers underneath the floor here. I was just having a bit of trouble pulling components out of the beast. There just must be too many conveyors and connections and stuff for the build planner to be able to do it. So now it works all good, and the beast is just purely a manufacturing platform now, doesn't store anything apart from the ingots. Now this is of course the connection up to the windmills, and in here I want to expand this out a bit and put in a battery room, so make a bit of an alcove. I don't think we'll be doing that today, that might be next episode I think. So we're just going to sort out this grapefruit and get that going again. So while I'm sorting this out, we'll talk about a bit what we're going to do today. What I want to do is start a new vehicle. Now this is the one I've been thinking about doing for the last couple of episodes, a modular vehicle. So the module that I want to start with today is a cargo module. So similar to that temporary one that I brought back from Treasure Island last time on the back of the flyer. A sort of separate module that has a little bit of thrust just to provide some lift for the contents, for the cargo contents, but it'll have a command sort of unit that it'll connect to, and everything will be interchangeable. So just for this initial one, what I'm going to do is just do the cargo module, and I'll hook it up in such a way that I can attach the flyer to the front of it and use that as the command module. Which using the flyer will only be a temporary solution. Certainly getting a command module built will be the next step. Then probably a drill module or maybe a grinder module, and absolutely just deal to Treasure Island. Which we'll need to look at taking it for a test flight over there I think, because we're starting to run a little bit low on components ready for the grapefruit to ferry back. It's just been going back and forth quite happily and really starting to get through them. And I am actually struggling a bit with some resource, iron in particular. I'm going through it quite steadily. I think I've got enough here to do what I want to do, but it might just mean breaking down some of the metal grids that I've got. I've got quite a few of those, and there'll be heaps over at Treasure Island, because a fair bit of Treasure Island is actually made up out of the heavy armor, which, yeah, that's why I sort of need to look at maybe some sort of grinding attachment for my modular ship to deal with that, because it just takes forever using the hand grinder. And there are those assemblers at Treasure Island which I can use on disassembly, so they can just do that in the background. Now, just trying to figure out the layout of these modules, because they need to be interchangeable. So the connections and the merge blocks, which I'll need merge blocks so that I can control the different sections, the thrusters in particular, from other parts, because I haven't got any mod or script or anything to be able to do that using connectors or hinges, so it needs to be a merge block. But yeah, just trying to figure out where they go so that they don't get in the way. So I'm thinking that I'll have a 3x3 connector that sort of goes across the top of everything, and then I'll have in this section some large containers, a couple of large containers dropping out below the grid. So I just need to get this around the right way, because I want to, yeah, I need to have a connector on the bottom and then connecting into the conveyors at the top. So I'm going to have 2 of these large storage containers, and I'll pop a couple of large thrusters, upward thrusters, which will provide the lift for this particular module, and then just a few little thrusters just to, I guess, assist with the main lot that'll be on the command unit. I'm sure it'll make a bit more sense once it's all sort of put together. I think just for a bit of a change, I might use the scientific thrusters from the Sparks Future DLC. I've never used these before, so just now's as good a time as any. They still use quite a bit of resource, and yeah, I'm going to have to make some stuff. Motors in particular, I think I'm a bit short on those. Now, the resources I have been sort of struggling with as to what step is next, so I've decided to do this modular thing, because I do have stuff over at Treasure Island which I can grab. But I'm also aware that I've got all the stone that I keep carving out of this hillside, and it's only because I don't have the conveyors plumbed in that I'm not collecting that. Now, that was an intentional decision I made when I was making that drill, and I stand by that. But also my mind is, I've got like that battery alcove that I want to carve out, so I could have used that. But it means kind of using a hand drill, which is going to be a bit of a hassle, or building another drill. I want to use this for the drill, so I kind of need to start from somewhere. So yeah, I figure this is the way to do it, and I'll just need to make up my mind as to whether the next step after the command unit will be a drill head to start carving out an alcove for the battery room, or whether the next step will be a grinder head to go over to Treasure Island and break down that. So for me though, it's really the chicken and the egg at the moment. I don't know which one to go first. So I've gone down this path, and as I say, I've got plenty of components. I can always break down some if I need iron. I can get a little bit of stone out of the drill head, just manually put it in. And yeah, I can even buy some iron from the trading post. I've got money for it, so that's an option as well. In fact, that's probably not a bad idea. Yeah, I should do that, because I've got to cash in those contracts anyway, so yeah, we'll see how we go. I'm just conscious that these motors will probably use up the last of the iron that I currently have. So back to the build, and it is a little bit tricky just lining up these things. I've had to put some little extension blocks in to get the conveyors in the right place. And speaking of which, that one's not in the right place. Don't quite know how I got that in the wrong place, but anyway. Yeah, so I've gone with these 3x3 conveyors because I do need to be able to transfer steel plate and other components as well, which won't necessarily go down the small grid single conveyor. Won't be exclusively ores or ingots. There will be components no doubt travelling through this. bearing in mind that it might not be going to these containers, it might just be travelling through the conveyor system to another module that's on the back. A bit like train wagons, you know, you could have wagons or bulk carriers, container carriers or passenger carriages, but they've still got the same connections on them and you can mix and match them within the train anywhere. Now the other design choice I've gone for here is to keep it relatively narrow. So I don't want it too wide. The reason being for that is, yeah, I'll probably have modules, well no, I will have modules on the front which will have drill heads on them. So I think a 3x3 block of drill heads, so 9 drill heads, and the same with grinders and potentially welders as well. So with the drills especially, I could be grinding my way through a hillside. You know, I'm quite aware that I've got that iron, quite large iron patch just very nearby, and it's on a hillside, so this may do the trick. And then also for digging out in here as well, you know, there's going to have to be several rooms that I'm going to have to dig out. I've already talked about the battery room, but also there's going to be a manufacturing plant, and I'll probably have a hydrogen facility as well as all the various hangars. Yes, I've got all these ideas floating around in my head really. And there we go, we do indeed need to produce some motors to get these done up. So that's kind of the basic layout of it. What I'll do is I'll weld all this up. As I say, I suspect I'm going to have to make some components, so I might just skip through this and come back to you when I have finished this part of it. And as predicted, those motors have indeed sucked my supply of iron dry. So I thought I would do what I thought I was going to do, and that is to pop over here to the trading post. It's only just a real quick trip over here, and cash in those contracts that I've had for a day or so. And I'll see about buying some iron maybe, just to keep me going. I don't need much, just to finish off sort of what I'm doing, and then that'll open up the door for doing other stuff, rather than trying to go boots and all into some other method, you know, mining, hand drilling the iron patch. I'll just do this for the time being. Just give the grapefruit a quick top up and get that on its way back from Treasure Island. Getting quite good at loading that up now, and as you can see, there's not that much stuff left over there. It's about 8,000 steels, and that's about it really. So about another 10 loads, and it does sort of go back and forth quite easily now, quite rapidly, especially when I'm sort of busy doing something here at the base. You know, I send it away and then I just turn around and it's back again. Anywho, contracts, we'll just cash these in. I loaded them up before I came over. Let's finish those off. Why is that not working? 3. Oh, whoops. I made 14 more, but clearly I forgot to transfer them over to my inventory. Sweet. Okay, I'll just have a quick look and see if there's any other contracts which I can take up since I'm here. Okay, let's go shopping. Iron ore, there we go, that's what I want. We'll grab all of that. Yeah, it's only 280,000, it's not much at all. That was only like some of those canvases or something, canvas contracts, you know, so got more than enough money there. Do I need any uranium? Nah, I think I'm right for that at the moment. So I certainly don't want to be paying that sort of money for iron ores every single time, especially when you can just dig it out of the ground, but just at the moment as a stopgap measure, I'm happy with that. So we'll jump in the flyer and we'll head back to the base and get on with welding and stuff. I've done most of what I just placed before, so the only thing missing are the motors, and I've put some batteries in already, so they're just charging away. So this flyer will do for taking the first cargo container over, just for a bit of a trial run. All I'm going to have to do to adapt it is put a merge block on the back just underneath the connector, so that's not too major at all. And yeah, I did think about whether I was going to build the command section now, because then potentially I could take it over to the Treasure Island and build a grinder bit on the front. But yeah, again, I've just been thinking about this constantly, how's the best way to go, and it really is, once again, the chicken and the egg thing, so hopefully I've sort of got it around the right way now. Also conscious on my mind is just that battery room would be quite good to get that done, because the sooner I can get them start charging, the better. And saying that, you know, the wind turbines do charge up the beast, and that's more than enough battery, and there are a couple in the base already, so that's not too bad. And we're back already, and I'm getting pretty good at flying this thing into the tunnel and past the beast. And yeah, it's good having that trading post so close. So we'll dock this down, and it should just suck the ore out straight away and get going. Actually, now I think about it, the iron ore is in my personal inventory, so I'll just dump that in this cargo container here. While we're here, might just queue up some motors, because I will need some more of those, so we'll get them underway. Alright, let's have a quick look at this here. So there you can see the sort of basic layout. Now I just need to put a couple of smaller engines. I'm going to have some to do the horizontal, but I'm also going to have some back and forward ones. I think putting them in the center, maybe just either side of that battery, I will be able to have them far enough away from anything else that they won't cause any like blast damage. And the intention is not to power the whole unit, it's just an assist for the main unit, so that when you do add the extra weight for an extra module, the command unit does have a little bit of assistance there. So hopefully the sort of handling of the vehicle should be the same no matter what modules you've got on. That's the idea, at least. And you know, when it comes time for the drills and the grinders and that sort of thing, I'll probably have extras to provide that sort of backward thrust that you inevitably need when you're grinding and drilling stuff, when you're sort of nose down quite a bit. I know from experience, when I haven't had enough back thrust, that I've ended up drilling myself onto a hole that I couldn't get out of. Also, sometimes being underground, you don't know which way's up too, so that also gets you into trouble. Okay, so I've had a bit of trial and error to get these thrusters in the right place, but I think we're just about there now. I had to lower those large ones so I could fit these horizontal lateral thrusters in. But it is taking quite a while for me to do this. So I think that most of this it'll be a situation where, again, a lot of this will end up on the editing room floor. And yeah, I'll either do a montagey sped up thing, or I suspect that I'll probably just cut to the finished thing, because I'll put a bit of a skin on the outside of it, an outer hull as it were, and I know from experience doing that before on this type of build that that can take a little while to do, just getting everything placed right. As you can see here, I've still put that thruster in the wrong place, it was poking out a bit. Anyway, I shall keep pushing on with this, and we'll come back with, I think we'll come back with the finished product, yeah. Alright, pretty much bang on with my predictions there. After about 10 minutes after I left you, I actually turned off the screen capture because it was taking quite a long time to work through this. In fact, it is almost daytime again now. The sun is just about up, and we started as it was sort of nightfall, so that's how long I've been working. Just a combination of the niggly sort of work that I was doing, and also, yeah, resources were a bit scarce as well. It wasn't that I ran out or anything, it was just I had to keep topping up, and yeah, I didn't have a stockpile of stuff that I could just dive into, and had to break down some metal grids and that sort of thing, so all just a little bit time consuming. And yeah, I thought best just cut it all out and we'll show you the finished thing. So I'm just putting a merge block on this, and we'll connect up and we'll head off out over to the pirate base, Treasure Island, and we can have a bit of a look at this cargo module as we head over there. Alright, so all hitched up without a hitch, and yeah, we're ready to go. So I've programmed names into everything, and I haven't put anything on the toolbar as such yet, because this is only a temporary thing attaching the fly to it. And there's the grapefruit up there, it looks like, coming in for another landing. Yeah, so actually really happy with how it's going. Those scientific thrusters are pretty cool. They're a bit brighter than the normal ones. Now, the holes in the top there, I'm going to put a couple of connectors in there at some point. Once I get some resource, I'll put those in. And you can sort of see there as well that I've actually just used half blocks for much of the outside. And that's the sort of look there that I'm going for. So yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with how it's come out. It's quite chunky, quite blocky, but it is still kind of stylized. I'm very happy with it. And it'll be heaps better when I put sort of more modules on. Now the name of it, I'm going to call it the Centipede, because like this has got 2 landing gears on it, and then the other sections have landing gears, so it will kind of have the look of a centipede or a millipede, but I'm calling it a centipede, so I've just abbreviated this to the Centi Store, so the Centi Storage module, and then there'll be, you know, Centi Drill and Centi Grinder and Centi Command, those sorts of things. So yeah, it's going to be good just adding sort of extra modules to it in order to, if I want to do anything in particular, instead of just building a whole new ship every time. And I went with quite a few connectors on it, so there's plenty of places to connect up to stations and stuff like that. So and then they can potentially be used as ejectors as well for stone when I come to mining, because even though you can get ejectors as a thing, I find that connectors used on throwout works heaps better. So anyway, still a little bit of distance to go to Treasure Island. I think the grapefruit must have landed by now, so I think I'll put a little bit of override on this and it can just continue to coast, and then I can jump in and get the grapefruit unloaded and flying back in this direction. It was actually a good thing that I did put these thrusters in, because I had to turn the ones off on the fly because they sort of burn into the front of the storage module, so not unexpectedly, but yeah. Alright, so I'll sort this out and we will be back with you shortly. Alright, made it safe and sound. Just coming in for touchdown now. Conveniently, I already have a connector here. I don't actually remember doing it, but I know I would have put it in last time I was here. Actually, no, I do remember doing it. It was when I had the temporary container on the back of the flyer last time that I put it in. Yeah, because I was actually half expecting to have to come over here and set this up. So that was a nice little surprise. Good old amnesia. Now, as I said before, I haven't actually set this up on my toolbar, so I'm having to manually shut down stuff. And just because I turned the forward thrusters off on the fly, I had to undo that before I shut them down so they don't turn back on those two. And yeah, I think that's everything. Oh no, the batteries I'll need to put on recharge as well. Okie pokey, I think we're all set now. So let's just have a bit of a think about what we're going to do here. The grapefruit won't too far away, and that should fit next to there, no problems. That's good. Oh, there's another base popped up over there. Defensive installation. That was the same as that one that was on the other side of the lake, so that's not a difficult one to take over, so I might have to have a think about going and attacking that one. So anyway, this is just have a quick walk around here. Now we're out in the open and the sun's come up, and sort of see those connectors on the bottom and how it all works, 4 feet and that sort of carry on. Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with how that's come out. Okay, we need to start thinking about breaking down this base now. What do I want to start with? I probably want to just really take the stuff that's got components in it, like motors and stuff. So I think I'll attack these conveyors, because a lot of the stuff up the top here is grids and stuff. So yeah, it'll be quite good to get those. It's a shame I don't have the command module, because I could like break down those grinders and make a grinder module for the front, but I'm just not at that point yet. So I guess I shall just have to hand do it for now and put all these components in, and I may even do some of the heavy blocks while I'm here, just so I can break down the metal grids, because I really don't need many metal grids at the moment, and I've got heaps, so they're better off being broken down and transported as ingots. Those assemblers here that I can do that, so I think that's the plan for the next little while, and yeah, I'll just continue on with this, because it's gonna take a while. Alrighty, I just about ran out of hydrogen, so on the last trip back for the grapefruit, I managed to load it up with some from the main base. Luckily, I've got, well, there's no luck, I planned it. I've got that spare one in the flyer, so I was just able to grab that and use that for the time being. Not that I'm using a lot at the moment. Just reload this and send it on its way. Now, even though it only seems like not long ago, it is actually a little while ago for me now that I was quite happily grinding down the base and said I'd be back soon, and yeah, duty called and I had to dash off, and now it's a couple of days later. So I've had a few thoughts about what I'm going to do next and how I'm going to do it, and also just a couple of improvements that I've done while I've been here to the cargo mover, the Centipede storage module. I've put an extra thruster in here, so there's 3 wide. Just also widens the whole thing a little bit. You can see there I'm just still finishing off the outer skin, so I'll just keep working through that. Before I turn the camera on today, I did just jump into creative mode and throw some ores and also other bits and pieces in here, and then just reloaded when I was finished, just to see how much weight it actually takes. So volume wise of the steel plate, it can take like 120 tons or something, 120,000 tons, but that's volume wise. But weight wise, this can only really take about 40,000 tons, I think it is. I think I'm talking thousands of tons. So yeah, quite a bit still, heaps, but that's on its limit. Very much so, and it'll probably get a bit more capability once I do get more engines on the main command piece as well. So the upshot is the steel is a heavy item and I'm going to need to be careful about what I carry, but putting that extra engine in, I'm feeling a lot more confident that it can just be filled up with ores and it will handle it, especially when I do get those other engines on for those other modules. Now, just with moving that extra engine in, I have made it a little bit wider at the base. It's something that just didn't quite sit well with me, the aesthetics of it. The landing gears were a bit too close in, and then also, yeah, it was just a bit sort of narrow. It is quite tall, it's a lot taller than I sort of originally envisaged, but that's just the nature of how it sort of all worked out with the conveyors and things. I can't think of any other way around it. But now that I've just changed these lines slightly, I'm a lot more happier with it actually. It's like something, it's hard to explain. It should look ugly, but it's a good ugly. I mean, it does look ugly, but yeah, it's a good ugly. It's a bit like maybe sort of in the genre of the Sandcrawler in Star Wars, or maybe something out of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you know, like a vehicle out of the Bogon fleet. So yeah, it's big and bulky and slow, but that's kind of what it's meant to be. So yeah, actually quite happy with how that's come out. As well as putting that extra thruster in, I've also just moved those lateral ones out a bit because they were kind of a bit hidden away. Yeah. But as you can see, it's only a light skin that I'm putting on here, just using the sort of half blocks. So that's got its challenges. That's what takes a little while to sort of sort out where everything goes. But actually doing it this way, putting some extra lines and extra slopes, it has tidied up some of the ends as well, which I just didn't have the quite right angles or bits of block available. And I've just had to relay these landing gears. So yeah, but it's been good being here. I've had a bit more resource to use. So speaking of resource and stuff, I think the next step, I was sort of struggling with what I was going to do. Aside from grinding down components, I don't think I've got enough stuff to build a command module and an operational module, such as a grinder module or a drill module. So what I thought is that I'll head back to the main base and I'll just work on a drill module, like a skeleton drill module. So start it, but make it operational, won't be pretty, won't have anything on the outside, and just attach that to this unit as is, because the connections are interchangeable. That's the whole idea. And then I can dig out my battery room, and potentially also a room for the flyer to park and the explorer buggy to park as well. So I should be able to get quite a bit of stone out of that. And it's not as though it's going to be flying around the place, it's just going to be basically pushing in straight ahead. So I may even put a floor down ahead of it that it can slide across. So I think that's the way to go, and that'll give me plenty of resource out of the stone, and then I can finish off that unit. I can build the command module and we should be all good. And from there I can start thinking about mining that iron ore and putting in permanent refineries in the base and that sort of thing as well. Coming out here, dealing to some of these little pirate base things, and yeah, building a grinder attachment and getting rid of the rest of this. And yeah, that's sort of a way forward, I think. So even though the rain's pretty heavy, I think it's time to head back. I'll just put this hydrogen bottle back in here before I forget and load up the inventory, because I do want to get back before it gets dark and that sun is sort of heading in that direction. Being this far south, we don't get very long days, it seems. So I'll just load up with steel. The grapefruit's been taking some of the other things back, and yeah, 40,000 kilos, so that's the sort of max for each of the containers, so that's 80,000 altogether, so that's a pretty good amount. Now there is quite a few, I'll take those ingots with me because I'll need them for making motors and stuff, but I'm just thinking there is a whole heap of grids in there, and I do not need that many grids. For one thing, they take up so much room in the cargo containers, it's hard to bring them back in any great volume, so they're actually better off coming back as ingots, and I can just remanufacture them if I need them. So I'll set that going. I just need to reprogram these landing gears and thruster groups and stuff since I've added some more, and then we'll take off and head back, and that will be us for today. Despite the load, managed to get off the ground and heading back slowly but surely. So that is indeed the end of today's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks everybody for watching. Hopefully you can join me next time where we will do the drill module and also work on the battery room. So stay safe out there everybody and have a good one.